The Iron Bowl of basketball. Man, this one's going to be spicy.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, this is a crossover edition of Locked On Auburn and Locked On Bama. I'm Zach Blackby of Locked On Auburn. He's Luke Robinson of Locked On Bama. I mean, probably the team that college basketball fans dislike the most right now.
We're number one, Zach.
Happy for you. Happy for you. Auburn hosts Bama. Obviously exciting. We're recording this like 3 minutes until the end of the legal day, I guess, for the Bediako stuff, which I don't think anybody thought that there was a chance he wouldn't play in this. I think everybody was expecting him to play in this game because that's just how things work. And that's how things work, especially when Alabama is involved. And so we'll get to see exactly what the jungle yells at him tomorrow. It could be electric.
I'm hoping they bring some creativity. And I think they will. And look, here's the thing. I want to say this in advance, and the people who are watching this on the Locked On Bama channel will back me up. Sure. That I don't love this. This isn't what I want college sports to be. Okay. But when you cracked open Pandora's box, everything came running out. And this is just, you think this is the worst thing you ever heard. Then the next thing is the worst thing. Then the Bediako thing. And now there's this Amari Bailey thing who actually played NBA games. Right. I mean, he's on recruiting visits right now. And I'm like, how are you on a recruiting visit and you're going to play now? And like, you've already missed a month and a half of school. I mean, it blows my mind. Jack, I'm going to say this at the very top, that I think you should have 5 years to play 5, whether you get hurt, whether your auntie gets sick, whether you get strep throat, you have tonsillitis,
whether you transfer and it's a bad decision, whatever it is.
Yeah. Correct. Because guess what? In high school, you get 4 years to play 4. That's it, unless you start at 8th grade and then you get 5 years to play 5. So you don't get another year back unless you fail.
You start in 7th grade.
I mean, well, there's some high schools like that, but not many. What if
you start in 7th grade?
Okay, he can start in 7th grade. Yeah, you can play every grade.
What if you start in 6th grade, Luke?
I know you're going to keep going down this rabbit hole, aren't you? It's a fun one. I'll be honest with you. But I'm pro 5 years to play 5, and you can play all 5. You don't have to take a red shirt. You got 5 years to do all 5. And then if something happens, that's life. That's the consequence of life. We've all faced it, right? I'm down for 1 free transfer. 1. And then after that, you got to sit a year. And guess what? When you sit a year, it counts as one of your 5. I think that's very fair. These are all things that seem like common sense to me. But right now, there is no common sense. You know, everybody talks about Bediako, and I get it. While if this were the only thing going on, I'd be against it, just as against it everybody else. But when you see things like Ole Miss calling a Clemson signee, transfer signee, while he's in class, Texas getting an Alabama transfer while he's in class at Alabama, it's all screwed up. You see, Alabama and Auburn both have 2 guys.
But it's not the same thing, Luke. It's not the same thing.
It's a part of the whole rich tapestry. That's my point. The whole rich tapestry of just awfulness. Now, you can say, if you want to take this one unique thing, then I'm also of the belief, and I know some people disagree, I say no pros at all. No Euro pros, no nothing pros. If you went pro in any description, you're done. I'm down with that. But the problem with that, college players are getting paid now, so aren't they kind of pro? Is there even an amateur anymore?
I mean, I think that is all things that they need to legally define now, 100%. 100%. But as far as the comparing the eligibility aspect of this to tampering, I don't think is the same thing as far as reaching out to other players, and because I don't think that's really been defined by anyone.
And that's
the eligibility
fair.
Thing, like we've had the same rule. If you enter the draft and you do not withdraw your name by the deadline, you forego your eligibility. That is clear cut, and it has been that way for forever. So I do think those things are different. Now, if you want to say you don't like the rule and the rule needs to be pushed, that's fine. But those two things aren't the same.
I agree with you. I guess I was painting a picture of how chaotic everything is. And you and I go on a show I think you still go on Doug Amos's show occasionally. And he used the terminology the other day. He said, he's an Alabama guy, but he said, I find all this disgusting. I was like, that seems a little harsh. I mean, I think some of the other stuff going on is much worse than this when you think about, hey, Bediako's not just completely out of left field, given everything else that's going on. When you have guys from Europe, when you have guys who are 25 years old, when you have all that, it's not nuts.
Yeah.
Now, we'll say this too. I would rather the rule be followed and everybody follow it. I think that would be the best way to go for college basketball and college football. Because what I'm worried about, here's my worry, that if Bediako wins this thing, and I think he may at least get it, postponed or the can kicked down the road. I don't know all the legalese. I'm sure can kick down the road is not a legalese thing. But what about when what about when you go in the NFL draft and then like you're just on a practice squad? And I just heard on the radio they were talking about this, that on practice squads, you might make $200K or $150K or something like that. You can make a lot more than that in a game in college if you're good enough. So will you the practice squad to try and come back? And before you say that's the craziest thing I've ever heard, 2 years ago, I would have thought a lot of this stuff I'm saying was the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, the Bediako thing, if they're fine with it, like people are talking about it with basketball, but it's like, okay, well, if you enter the NFL draft, you don't get drafted. Can you just choose to not sign with a practice squad and then go back to your school?
Did you know that in the NHL, apparently, all right, in the NHL, when you turn 18, everybody's eligible. You and me, we just weren't drafted, unbelievably. But in the NHL,
we were eligible for the NHL draft.
Yeah, that's their thing. Is like everybody at age 18. I can't believe we didn't get a shot. I mean, I'm a big.
How many rounds are there?
Las Vegas Sabres? I don't know. I don't have no. Listen, I just heard this myself. That apparently you can go back to college after you're drafted, and they still own your rights. But the problem I see with that in basketball is, what if you're a superstar player, you want to go to college, and the New York Knicks own your rights, and your coach plays an up and down, go fast, shoot it all the time tempo, and the Knicks are more like, hey, we're going to walk it up, we're going to play big men, and they don't want you to do that style because they don't want you to learn bad habits or something different than what they teach. Do the Knicks get to dictate what you do? I just feel like every time I turn around, there's another spike in the road, like things just fork off, and I don't want that. So that's why I say, make it easy. Go 5 years to play 5. If you've ever played pro in America, in Europe, in Africa, in Antarctica, you can't play.
Yeah, the weird thing with the Bediako thing too is, I mean, as an Auburn, I love that y'all are doing this. I think it's crazy. Like, I'm shocked that Alabama's the school that's doing this, and I mean that with all sincerity, especially because I think Nate Oats is a really good coach. I don't like the guy, but like, he's a really good coach. I think the proof is in the pudding. And I think this tarnishes some of that. I'm not going to lie to you. And I also think Bediako isn't I don't think he's the guy you risk all this for, if I'm being 100% honest with you.
Honestly, I think the juice is worth the squeeze. I don't think it's that big of a risk. If this were going on and there weren't if the Baylor thing hadn't happened, but there weren't Euro pros everywhere, I think I'd be like, are you out of your mind? But the Baylor, the Baylor guy, and I can't even.
Why do you keep comparing it to the European stuff?
Because
it's not the same thing.
They're called Euro pros.
But they're not ineligible because they're pros. The rule, once again, like, we're changing what the rule is. The rule is that he didn't take his name out of the draft.
I understand that. But again, I think the spirit of the rule is they don't want pros playing. And the Euro thing is on a technicality. Let's be real about it. I mean, so the Baylor guy, whose name, again, I can't pronounce. Yeah, he was like even involved in an NBA trade, and he's still playing. Like, when that first happened, I was like, what are we doing? But I remember this pretty vividly, that Preston Murphy, an Alabama assistant, when the Baylor thing came down, he always posts these like kind of weird, almost anime cartoons of himself doing things. And it showed him seeing that guy was eligible and then getting on a plane and going to like DC or something like that, which I didn't understand at the time. I'm wondering if those two things correlate. He was like, immediately he was thinking, hey, if they can get a pro back, why can't we get one back? And by God, if Alabama needs somebody back, if there's a team out there facing more injuries than Alabama on a day-to-day basis, I don't know who it is. Maybe it's karma. I'm sure that's what you'll say.
Or if somebody else gets hurt, you can just go get another G League guy.
I'm fine with that. Listen, I want it to get as ridiculous as it can so that it'll get fixed. That's what
I'm totally okay with that approach, actually.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. And I think this is enough. I think this is enough to where now they're almost like they're forced to have this conversation. Which is good.
Did you hear any of the reports from the judge today? It sounded like the folks that were in the courtroom were like, the judge was almost like, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm having to listen to this from both sides. Because the NCAA, we all know they've been as hypocritical and god-awful and over abusing their power for decades. And now the pendulum is swung so far the other way. They're like, please God, Congress, help us.
Right. And some judge make a rule so we don't have to do it. Yeah. I like, though, that it sounded like Bediako's representation was like, yeah, if this doesn't go this way, like his career might be done, and like he can't afford to go to like the University of Alabama or whatever. And then the judge was like, why can't he go back to the G League? And the representation's like, I mean, that's possible, but it's not certain. And it's just like, what is happening? Like, what is even going on here?
And he sort of had the same looks and takes with some of the NCAA stuff too. I am kind of surprised. I really was sort of hoping that Bediako would go into the courtroom with like a whiplash brace. I thought that would have been a good touch.
A nice touch. Really went over the public opinion there. All right. I guess we should talk about the actual basketball game that's happening on Saturday. That's next right here on this crossover edition of Locked on Auburn and Locked on Bama. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. I can't imagine wagering anywhere other than with our friends at FanDuel. Luke Robinson.
No. Why would I?
Yep, that's right. All right. So as we record this, Auburn, a 1.5 point favorite over Alabama with an over-under of 176. So if you want to get in on the action, you certainly can over with our friends at FanDuel. And of course, if you want to bet on the Super Bowl, that is the last chance to get in on the action for football as well. If you're a new customer, just bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. If you win, make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. We love TurboTax because we hate doing taxes. And TurboTax, they'll just do it for you, Luke Robinson. With TurboTax,
for like $150.
$150. And you know they're going to do it better, and you're probably going to get a $150 better return anyway. So, like, why not? With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Like you said, you can have your taxes done for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you, just make sure you file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Alabama heading to Neville to take on the Auburn Tigers in a game that feels a little weird. Neither of these teams being ranked when this game has meant so much nationally and, of course, in the conference over the last few years. Both teams kind of taking a little bit of a step back this season. Is there a storyline for Bama outside of this game, going into this game outside of the Bediako stuff, Luke?
I mean, it's injuries, because LeBaron Phylon is now a game time decision. He hurt his thigh against Texas A&M, and if Phylon's out, I mean, it's a huge blow to Alabama, Bediako or no Bediako. Of course, Aiden Holloway coming back is always a thing. Man, I got to say something. He's played really well. I think I understand Auburn fans not liking him. I get it totally, because you don't transfer to, you don't do that. But this system has suited him much more, and he's been pretty doggone good. So I think he did the right thing, and I think he'll be back.
He's taken a pretty big step from last year to this year too.
Yeah, he's playing a lot better. He's been injured a little bit, but that big shot he had against A&M the other night was huge. Very happy for him. But, without Phylon, I think Alabama's chances dipped dramatically. But my guess is he ends up playing that. I don't think this is any kind of like coaching game or anything. I think it's just that he actually is hurt. And look, Alabama's injury report has been as extensive as anybody's every single Friday evening.
Right. Yeah, I think the Auburn side of this is like they're close to putting it all together. They went on a little bit of a stretch there. They lost at Tennessee, which is obviously hard to win there. But before that, I mean, they had the longest active SEC winning streak. I mean, everybody's beating everybody in the conference, and they were able to string together 4 wins there, which was nice. And I think that means a lot in this year's SEC. Chris Murray down low. Sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm totally blanking right now. Murphy. Keyshawn Murphy. I don't know who Chris Murray is.
Who is Chris Murray? Are y'all bringing in Chris Murray from the G League?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Keyshawn Murphy. Goodness gracious, boy, has it been a week. He's getting better and better each week of the season. Starting to see his athleticism come out a little bit more, kind of recovering from being banged up earlier in the year. We'll see. I mean, this is still a Pearl offense, very much like what his father coached up. They want to shoot a lot of threes, but I do wonder, they've been better down low. So I do wonder, especially with what Florida was able to do from a points in the paint standpoint against Alabama last weekend. Never seen anything like it. Unbelievable.
Let me say this about that. It was awful. And it was going to happen. A couple of things. I predicted on Locked on Bama that either Auburn or Alabama would beat Florida on the road. And I said, Lord, I hope Auburn doesn't do it, because if they do it, we're in trouble. I thought Florida would sort of go to sleep against one of us. And, and they didn't play their best game against Auburn. I don't want to take anything away from Auburn. If they didn't play their best game, we know this. Florida, when they're on their game, they're tough to beat.
If Florida played their best game and Auburn played their best game in games, well, Florida wins. Yeah,
sure. Exactly. So, but Alabama just wasn't ready. And I think it was good for Bediako to get through this early, assuming he still gets to play for a while, that he goes down there and they were as rough on him as you could be. And mentally, I think that it took a toll on him a bit. So I'm hoping that, even though the jungle is going to be the jungle, that maybe he's grown some thicker skin since that moment. Because let's face it,
what did he expect, Luke?
Well, you can expect it all day. But when you go there and you're out there on the basketball court and everybody's killing you, it can take a toll. And so maybe his skin is a little thicker now is what I'm hoping. I mean, look, Auburn's going to be on him pretty good too. I know this.
Guy, get ready.
Oh, yeah, he's going to have to be ready. I know. I mean, but I'm saying this is actually a good thing for him to go through this stuff, right?
Yeah, because he hadn't been factors worn off or whatever. Yeah,
he hadn't been through the other games like the other Alabama players. I'm not worried about. They've already played Gonzaga and Arizona and Illinois. They played in Purdue. They played the cream of the crop. He hadn't so much done that. I mean, he's dealing with a lot of stuff. He's having to go into a courtroom. There's no telling where his mental state is.
Well, he's been in the G League. Yeah,
he's been in the G League
and like another college team.
Well, let's also I've been to a Birmingham Squadron game. I can tell you right now, I don't even know if that is the G League. There aren't like a lot of ruckus crowds that you're dealing with.
That's right. That's right.
It's one of those where you get to hear all the squeaks of the shoes in those games.
Right. Yeah. You hear it hitting the rim 100%. Who you got in this one, Luke?
I hate it, but I'm always honest. I think Auburn will win this game. I think, especially if Phylon is out, there's no contest to me. Alabama needs him badly. But even if he's there, I just feel like this is a game Auburn's going to really want. I think the crowd's going to help them out. I think it's going to be close. I think Auburn will certainly cover the 1.5 spread. But I'm thinking like a 5-6 point win for Auburn. They sort of pull away a little bit late is my guess. But again, I have no problem saying, assuming that Alabama's relatively healthy when they come to Tuscaloosa, I predict Alabama to win. I just think this is whoever is at home is going to get the advantage here.
Yeah. I think these teams split this year. I think the home team wins each time. So I agree with you. I think I picked like a 6 point spread yesterday, like mid 80s to high 70s, something like that. So,
well, y'all average 84 and we average like 91. I think it's going to be higher scoring than that.
It might be. Yeah. It might be. I think Auburn's getting better defensively. And I kind of wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a devotion to scoring in the paint, because I think that is a mismatch right now. Now we'll see if Phylon plays. That'll impact that a ton, but we'll see. We'll see.
I was bothered when I heard somebody on the radio today, a national guy, was talking about how, the big games this weekend, and they mentioned they mentioned Michigan, Ohio State for some reason, which doesn't feel like a big game because Michigan's so good and Ohio State, nah. but they didn't bring up Iron Bowl of basketball. And
I don't
it's
like
the
that at
first
all.
time in 8 years or so that hadn't happened. Even at a time where if Auburn's down, Alabama's up, or vice versa, the game's talked about. And right now, neither one of them's ranked. And, it kind of pisses me off because both teams played incredible schedules. So, yeah, we've piled up some losses, both of us. But we deserve a lot of credit for that, for what we've done in terms of going nationally and spreading our brand.
I agree 100%. And ironically, I think this game is just as important, if not more important, because we're kind of fighting for more stuff than we typically are. Like if whoever lost this game over the past few years, it really hadn't hurt the other one at all.
Right.
Whoever loses this one, it might hurt them a little bit.
I don't think really either team is in danger of missing the tournament or anything. I mean, they have too many. Both of them have too many good wins. Both of them beat St. John's, who's on a tear right now.
Can you imagine losing to St. John's? I personally can't.
Nah, it's just not. Shoot it. Auburn didn't even do it back in the 80s when they were really good with Walter Berry. That was way before Zach Blackerby, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet.
Not sure your parents were born.
In the 80s? You don't think my parents were born in the 80s, Luke?
I don't know. Am I older or younger than your parents? I'm 53.
You were younger than my parents.
Just barely, though. It's close.
There's some wiggle room there.
Okay. All right.
There's a gap.
There's a gap.
I'm not going to out my parents, but there's a gap. Yeah.
I got you.
All right. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in. For your second listen, check out the other show if you want. Also, the Everydayer Club. LockedOnAuburn.supercast.com, LockedOnBama.supercast.com. Sign up and join today. You get access to an ad-free audio feed, as well as access to an exclusive Discord, which sounds like Locked On Bama is actually bumping. So,
man, I'll tell you, we were surprised to hear that we actually have the most people who've signed up for the Everydayer Club, and and we love it, and it's great because Jimmy is very active on there. I'm as active as I can be, but we also have Michael Asian Jimmy Southern comes on for those of you who know who he is. He's the best guy that we have coming on for basketball. And it's great. And he's on there and he's active. And we got a bunch of guys who do a lot of memes and GIFs and things I don't know how to do. And they're funny.
That's important. Yeah, you got to have the memes for sure. Yeah. All right. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been a crossover edition of Locked On Auburn and Locked On Bama.